Jay-Z has exhibited signs of envy, jealousy, hate, and stopping bags behind the scenes, allegedly. Why is it always the same story? So that means Nas made all of that stuff up. DMX made all of that stuff up.
If you could say something to Megan Thee Stallion today, what would it be?
I think that I wouldn't say something directly to her.
You won't believe what Nicki Minaj just revealed about one of the hottest drama stories in the music world. According to Nicki, Beyonce allegedly played a behind-the-scenes role in Tory Lanez' legal nightmare, and it's not just speculation. Sources say that big moves were made, money changed hands, and the goal was crystal clear: to make sure Tory faced the consequences he was avoiding. This isn't just celebrity gossip. This is a peek into the power plays, alliances, and rivalries that happen when fame, money, and justice collide. Imagine the tension. One of the biggest pop icons allegedly stepping into someone else's case, and Nicki, known for speaking her mind, is revealing it all. Fans are shocked, the internet is buzzing, and questions are flying. How far would someone go to protect a reputation or a legacy? And if Beyonce really did take steps to end Tory Lanez in prison, what does that say about the influence the elite hold in the entertainment industry? Nicki's words are cutting, and they shine a light on a side of celebrity life most of us never see. Loyalty, power, and strategy are all in play, and this story is only getting started. It's raw, it's real, and it's stirring conversations that everyone is too afraid to voice until now. If you thought you knew the Tory Lanez saga, think again. Things just got messy, shocking, and dangerous, and Nicki is here to tell the truth as she sees it. The moment Nicki Minaj dropped her revelation, the internet erupted. Social media timelines lit up with speculation, memes, and heated debates. People couldn't stop talking about Beyoncé's alleged involvement in Tory Lanez's prison situation, and Nicki wasn't holding back. She described it as a calculated move, something that had been brewing behind closed doors long before the public even caught wind of the drama. According to Nicki, Beyoncé's influence isn't just a headline, it's a force. She didn't just speak or make a statement. The move was strategic, powerful, and executed with precision. Tory Lanez, already facing mounting legal trouble, suddenly found himself dealing with more than just the law. Nicki's words painted a picture of a world where money, power, and reputation could intersect to change someone's fate overnight. Fans started connecting dots they hadn't considered before. How did Tory, despite talent and fame, end up in such a precarious position? Nicki suggested it wasn't merely bad luck or legal missteps, it was a storm carefully orchestrated from the top. She hinted that Beyoncé, with her team and network, had the resources to influence outcomes that seemed untouchable. For some, this revelation was a confirmation of what they always suspected about celebrity influence. For others, it was shocking, almost unbelievable. Nicki described Tory as a man who had underestimated the power dynamics in the music industry. He had enemies, allies, and observers, people ready to make moves that weren't always visible to the public eye. She said Tory's situation wasn't simply about the charges he faced, it was a culmination of past decisions, rivalries, and missteps. Every action he had taken, from public appearances to interviews, had been monitored, dissected, and evaluated by those in positions of influence. The story Nicki revealed wasn't just about punishment, it was about control and accountability. She suggested that for someone like Beyoncé, reputation isn't just about image, it's about setting boundaries and sending clear messages. Those who cross certain lines or threaten legacies can expect pushback, and in this case, it was allegedly orchestrated at the highest levels. Nicki also pointed out the ripple effect of these decisions. Tory Lanez wasn't just dealing with legal consequences, he was confronting the harsh reality of what happens when the industry decides someone must be held accountable, whether for their own actions or for threatening the hierarchy. She painted a vivid picture of meetings behind closed doors, discussions about influence and decisions that blended entertainment with power politics. The reaction from fans and fellow artists was instantaneous. Some supported Nicki for speaking the truth, while others criticized her for airing what they considered sensitive matters. But the narrative she presented was clear. This wasn't just a random incident, it was a calculated moment, and Beyonce allegedly had a hand in steering it. Nicki explained that Tory's challenges didn't start overnight. They were the result of a series of events, choices, and rivalries that escalated over time. Each misstep was magnified under the spotlight of celebrity scrutiny. She painted Tory as talented but reckless, someone whose actions had real consequences in a world where the rules aren't always written down but are enforced with precision by those who hold power. What made Nicki's revelations even more striking was her description of the behind-the-scenes dynamics between artists. She emphasized that fame and influence don't just create opportunities, they also create vulnerabilities. The higher you climb, the more visible your actions become, and the more others can affect your path, for better or worse. Beyonce, as she described it, is someone who understands this world intimately. She knows how to leverage resources, alliances, and timing to ensure that her legacy, and those she cares about, remain intact. Nicki didn't shy away from the controversial aspects. She hinted that Tory's legal battles had been exacerbated by rivalries and conflicts with influential figures who preferred to operate quietly, using money, connections, and strategic interventions to maintain control. It wasn't about revenge for the sake of drama, it was about sending a message that power in the music industry comes with responsibility and consequences. The story grew even more intense when Nicki touched on the human element. Tory Lanez, she said, was facing the reality of his choices, and the alleged involvement of Beyonce made the situation even more complex. For Tory, this wasn't just about serving time, it was about realizing that the industry's power structures could impact his life in ways he hadn't anticipated. The combination of legal trouble, public scrutiny, and alleged strategic maneuvers created a storm that left many wondering if talent alone was enough to survive in the upper echelons of fame. Nicki's revelations also highlighted the tension between public perception and behind-the-scenes reality. Fans often see headlines, interviews, or viral clips, but rarely do they understand the intricate web of relationships, influence, and strategy that shapes outcomes. According to her, the Tory Lanez situation is a textbook example of how influence in entertainment extends far beyond what appears on social media. As the story unfolded, Nicki described the emotional toll on everyone involved. Tory supporters were confused, betrayed, and frustrated. Other artists were cautious, observing how power could be wielded without public knowledge. And the general public, hungry for drama, was left piecing together fragments of truth from speculation, interviews, and insider accounts. Nicki's voice carried a sense of urgency, warning that the consequences of celebrity influence aren't always visible until they hit close to home. She framed the alleged involvement of Beyonce not as gossip, but as a lesson in industry dynamics, showing how carefully calculated moves can determine the course of someone's career or life. The story became more than just about Tory Lanez. It was a commentary on how fame, power, and justice intersect in unpredictable ways. The weight of her revelations was undeniable. Each statement she made sent shockwaves through the fan base and the music community. She didn't merely hint at involvement. She suggested a deliberate, orchestrated effort to ensure that consequences were unavoidable. It painted Beyonce not just as a performer, but as a strategist, someone capable of influencing outcomes far beyond the stage. By the end of her statement, one thing was clear: the public now had a glimpse into a side of the entertainment world that is rarely exposed. Nicki's perspective challenged perceptions, questioned narratives, and stirred debates that would continue for months. It wasn't just about Tory Lanez or Beyonce. It was about power, accountability, and the invisible forces that shape celebrity lives. And while Nicki's revelations left many reeling, they also opened the door to further investigation and discussion. What exactly happened behind the scenes? How much influence do top-tier artists really have over legal and personal matters? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of those caught in the crossfire of fame, rivalry, and strategy? One thing remains certain. In the high-stakes world of music, nothing is ever just entertainment. Every decision, Every action, every connection carries weight, and Nicki Minaj's words confirmed that sometimes the quietest moves make the loudest impact. As the shockwaves from Nicki's revelation spread, the spotlight shifted squarely onto Tory Lanez. People started to dig into every interview, every public appearance, every tweet, looking for clues, context, or confirmation. What they found was a story layered with tension, ambition, and a tangled web of alliances and rivalries. Tory wasn't just facing legal battles, he was confronting a narrative being shaped by forces far bigger than himself. According to Nicki, the situation with Beyonce wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was calculated, deliberate, and strategic. Every move, every report, every subtle shift in the story, she said, seemed to line up perfectly, almost as if orchestrated by someone who understood how to control the optics of the situation. Fans started to realize that what appeared on headlines was only the surface. There was an intricate game happening behind closed doors, with stakes that went beyond music and fame. Nicki described Tory as talented but reckless, a man who had underestimated just how influential some of the biggest names in the industry could be. His public persona, charm, and charisma had earned him fans, but in the high-stakes world of celebrity power, fans aren't the ones making decisions. That responsibility rested with those who could move unseen, who could shape narratives quietly but effectively. Nicki's account painted Beyonce as someone who understood this world deeply, someone who could act decisively when her interests, or those of her circle, were threatened. What made this story even more compelling was the alleged level of planning. Nicki suggested that every legal development, every courtroom appearance, every public statement from Tory's camp had been anticipated, if not influenced, by the unseen forces at play. She described a network of relationships, loyalties, and rivalries that extended far beyond the courtroom. It was the kind of power that could sway outcomes, guide public opinion, and make consequences unavoidable. Fans began connecting dots they hadn't noticed before. They examined Tory's career trajectory, the timing of his legal issues, and the responses from fellow artists. Everything started to fit into a broader picture. Tory Lanez wasn't just facing legal repercussions. He was confronting the reality of industry politics, celebrity influence, and strategic maneuvering. The story Nicki revealed was more than a sensational claim. It was a cautionary tale about what happens when ambition meets influence and control. Nicki's words also highlighted the emotional toll. Tory, she said, was under immense pressure, not just from the law, but from the weight of the industry watching his every move. Supporters and detractors alike had opinions, but the real consequences came from those who could quietly direct outcomes. The allegations painted a picture of a world where talent alone isn't enough. Survival requires awareness, strategy, and sometimes humility. In her account, Nicki didn't just focus on the influence of Beyonce. She also revealed Tory's missteps and miscalculations. Every interview, social media post, and public appearance was scrutinized, often magnified, and sometimes twisted. In such a high-stakes environment, even small errors could snowball into serious consequences. She portrayed Tory as a man navigating a minefield, trying to balance fame, reputation, and legal obligations, all while powerful figures allegedly influenced the game around him. The impact of these revelations rippled through the music world. Artists and fans debated the ethics of influence, questioning how much power top-tier celebrities wield behind the scenes. Could one artist really shape the fate of another in such dramatic fashion? Nicki's description suggested that it was possible, and the thought alone sparked fear, awe, and intrigue. Nicki also spoke about the indirect effects on Tory's career. Beyond legal consequences, she said, there were lost opportunities, severed connections, and damaged trust. The kind of subtle, behind-the-scenes interventions she hinted at could derail a rising career without a single headline explicitly announcing it. Fans started realizing that the industry wasn't just about talent. It was a battlefield of strategy, perception, and influence. The narrative Nicki presented positioned Beyonce as a master strategist. It wasn't about revenge or personal vendetta. It was about influence, legacy, and protecting interests. She suggested that in the celebrity ecosystem, sometimes silence and subtlety are more powerful than public confrontation. The timing of actions, the orchestration of events, and the alignment of allies and resources could achieve results that brute force or loud declarations could never accomplish. For Tory, the story painted a sobering picture. No matter how talented or charismatic, the stakes in the celebrity world aren't always fair. Decisions are made behind closed doors, alliances shift without warning, and influence can determine who rises and who falls. Nicki's account emphasized that understanding the rules of this invisible game is as crucial as any talent or skill. Social media was ablaze. Fans, journalists, and fellow artists weighed in, dissecting Nicki's every word. Some defended Tory, insisting he had been unfairly targeted. Others argued that Nicki's revelations exposed an uncomfortable truth. Fame and influence are tightly interwoven, and those who don't understand that can face consequences beyond their control. Conversations about morality, strategy, and loyalty dominated timelines, leaving no aspect of the situation untouched. Nicki also delved into the personal side. She described Tory as someone who had made mistakes, but hadn't fully grasped the full scale of his environment. His interactions, rivalries, and choices had put him in a vulnerable position, and according to Nicki, the intervention by Beyonce wasn't just about punishment, it was a lesson in accountability. Fans began seeing the story not just as celebrity drama, but as a window into how influence operates at the highest levels of the industry. By the end of her account, it was clear that this wasn't merely gossip. It was a narrative about power, consequences, and the invisible threads connecting fame and strategy. Nicki didn't just reveal alleged facts. She told a story that left listeners questioning the balance of talent, ambition, and influence. Tory Lanez challenges were emblematic of a world where even superstar status could be subject to forces far beyond one's control. The discussions didn't stop. Music analysts, fans, and fellow artists debated how much truth there was in Nicki's account and what it implied for the future of celebrity influence. Could a single artist truly sway legal or career outcomes for another? Could reputation and legacy be leveraged in ways that manipulate fate? Nicki's words suggested that it was possible, and the thought alone was enough to change how fans and insiders alike viewed the industry. Shows that Tory Lanez's story is more than legal headlines. It's a cautionary tale about influence, strategy, and the power dynamics within celebrity culture. As Nicki described it, the interplay between personal choices, industry politics, and the leverage of powerful figures like Beyonce created consequences that extended far beyond what any observer could have predicted. The tension, the strategy, and the stakes set the stage for what would come next. The final reckoning, the aftermath, and the broader impact on all involved. As the dust settled from Nicki's revelations, the focus shifted from rumors to consequences. Tory Lanez wasn't just navigating legal battles anymore. He was confronting a reality shaped by unseen forces, calculated moves, and celebrity influence at a level many fans could hardly imagine. According to Nicki, the lessons from this entire ordeal were as much about power and perception as they were about talent. The streets of social media were alive with debates, but behind the headlines, the real story was about strategy, alliances, and survival in an industry where fame doesn't guarantee immunity. Fans began tracing the ripple effects. Tory's collaborations, endorsements, and career opportunities were all subtly affected. The industry wasn't punishing him openly. Instead, the trajectory of his career appeared to bend in ways consistent with Nicki's account. She described Beyonce's involvement not as personal vengeance, but as a demonstration of influence, how a single well-connected figure could sway outcomes through timing, strategy, and quiet maneuvering. It was the kind of power that couldn't be earned through talent alone, but through positioning, foresight, and understanding the game. Nicki's account also revealed the human side of the story. Tory, she said, was under immense pressure, wrestling with the consequences of choices and learning that mistakes in the spotlight are magnified exponentially. Relationships that once seemed secure, friendships, partnerships, collaborations shifted. Trust was tested, alliances reformed, and the calculus of loyalty changed overnight. The narrative was no longer about celebrity feuds, it was about the intersection of ambition, accountability, and influence. Industry insiders echoed the sentiment. Those who had watched the drama unfold in real time noted that the lesson here was broader than any single artist. In the high-stakes world of music and celebrity, the combination of fame, strategy, and timing often dictated outcomes more than talent alone. Nicki's revelations made this clear. Even the most gifted individuals can find themselves vulnerable if they underestimate the power dynamics around them. For Tory, the aftermath was complex. Public opinion, legal pressures, and industry decisions all converged. Fans debated morality, fairness, and influence, but the deeper truth was clear: success in the entertainment world requires more than skill. It requires navigating a web of alliances, perception, and calculated moves. According to Nicki, the situation was a stark reminder that survival and progress often depend on understanding the full spectrum of influence in a celebrity ecosystem. Ultimately, the story left fans and insiders alike questioning the balance of justice, power, and strategy. Tory Lanez's challenges were more than personal, they were emblematic of the entertainment industry itself, where influence can shift outcomes quietly but decisively. The tale was one of ambition, consequence, and the sometimes unseen forces that shape careers behind the cameras and headlines. As discussions continue, one thing is certain: Nicki Minaj's revelations didn't just stir controversy. They exposed a deeper reality about the music industry, celebrity influence, and the delicate dance of power that dictates who rises, who falls, and who survives. Fans and artists alike now see Tory Lanez's story not only as a legal drama, but as a cautionary tale about underestimating influence, misjudging timing, and the high cost of missteps in a world ruled by strategy and visibility. And while Tory's career may continue to evolve, the narrative revealed by Nicki ensures that his journey will always be remembered as a lesson about the invisible forces behind fame, the consequences of ambition, and the undeniable impact of those who know how to move quietly yet decisively in the world of celebrity.